Hello everybody. Now, I don't normally talk about other challenger parties as I'm the leader of the Heritage Party, but something's happened with Reform UK, which is on the headline news today of all the papers and all the television stations. So it's definitely something that we need to talk about and discuss, and it's very, very important because Reform UK are in meltdown and their MPs and their chairman are arguing against each other. So this looks like a big battle taking place internally between Nigel Farage and Zia Yusuf, real name Mohammed Ziauddin Yusuf, against Rupert Lowe, who is their most popular MP by a long shot. And I've been watching and looking, without commenting, of course, on Reform for a long time, obviously, because they copy a lot of ideas from the Heritage Party and the manifesto that we have and we've had in the Heritage Party for 5 years. So a lot of them say similar things to what I would say. Rupert Lowe being the main one. He's really spot on almost everything in what he says. A couple of things I would disagree with him on, I'll get to that later, but 90 to 95% of the things that he says are very, very good, very, very sharp, and he's really giving it to Labour, giving it to the fake Conservatives, which is what we need to do. But Reform have just collapsed into internal fighting and warfare. It's just... this has just happened. I think it started on Thursday when Rupert Lowe did an article for the Daily Mail, I think, if my memory serves me right. And he said some things about Nigel Farage, which I know Nigel Farage would not have taken well, saying that he is like a messiah kind of figure, but everything has to go through him, that Reform is just a protest party, and that it needs a lot of change if it's going to be successful in the next general election. Now, again, I'm not going to comment on that because that's another party. I'm very happy with the Heritage Party, my own party. We've got fantastic people, and we were set up from the very beginning as a company limited under guarantee, a non-profit or not-for-profit company. You've got to set up as a company so that you can have a bank account and so on. But Reform was always a for-profit company with Farage and Tice as the shareholders, and it's changed its structure a little bit now, but it's now Farage and Mohammed Ziauddin Yusuf are the two people who have control over what's done in the company there. So, obviously he was openly critical of Farage and the way Reform is set up on Thursday. Then on Friday, there's a statement from Yusuf and Lee Anderson, the chief whip, saying that they'd reported Rupert Lowe to the police for threatening violence against Mohammed Ziauddin Yusuf, and potentially, or not potentially, but also they've accused him of misogynistic comments. They didn't use the word misogynistic, but making belittling comments to two of his female staff, which were disparaging and also making fun of disabilities. And then an hour later on Friday, they announced that they're withdrawing the whip from Rupert Lowe, so he's no longer a Reform MP. Reform now only have 4 MPs. They had 5 before yesterday, now they've only got 4. Rupert Lowe is de facto an independent MP. He's no longer in Reform because he's been kicked out, or the whip has been removed, as they say. That means he doesn't sit with them in Parliament anymore. And then Rupert Lowe came back almost immediately and said all of these allegations are completely baseless and untrue and just fabricated. So, and then we look into things a little bit more information has been coming out all through the night, actually. And it seems that the accusations they made against him relate to incidents that happened not recently, fairly recently, but in December. So why on earth did they, if something happened that they needed to report him to the police, that he's threatened violence against Zia Yusuf, why did they not report that at the time in December? Why did they leave it until the day after he made some comments which were critical of Nigel Farage and Reform UK's party and structure. It looks like lawfare here, and it also looks like the hierarchy and Reform are acting like all the things that they say they're against. They're acting like absolute snowflakes and agitating against free speech. You know, they've always said, oh, we support banter, you have free speech. You know, Farage is happy to have a picture taken with Andrew Tate. You know, Andrew Tate is a mixed bag, but his attitude to women is disgusting. He treats women like pieces of meat for his financial gain and for sexual gratification. He's not someone who you want to have around you, you know, if you're standing for socially conservative principles or conservatism. I mean, but they're very happy to support Andrew Tate, but all of a sudden, Rupert Lowe allegedly has made some mild comments to female staff, and they're all, oh, this is terrible, we need to, you know, report him to the Parliamentary Standards Committee. And, you know, this is the very thing that they've been speaking against for the whole of their existence, and now they're acting like cultural Marxists. They're acting like leftists who are trying to get someone in trouble for hurty words, as they say. So, you know, it really shows what they are, what the people there, what they really are, because this is, you know, they're not acting according to any principles. They just got someone who's become a problem. I think Rupert Lowe has become very popular. He does his own thing. He seems to be, you know, he has seemed to become more and more independent from the other MPs in Reform over the 7 or 8 months that he's been an MP. And, you know, looking into what people are saying as well, Elon Musk seems to like Rupert Lowe more than Nigel Farage in his tweets, and that's going to make them absolutely mad and crazy. So it seems that they've acted, you know, to get rid of him and to remove him. But I think this is going to backfire massively on Reform UK, because he was their most popular MP, because he works very, very hard, and he's worked very hard to challenge this dreadful Labour government on the two-tier policing, the attacks on free speech, on grooming gangs, on immigration, mass immigration, migrant hotels, on the whole net zero agenda, the attacks on farmers, the taxation which the Labour government is putting on people and businesses. You know, even just recently, he's diverting from the others in terms of saying we need to seek peace in Ukraine. So all of those things he's saying would be completely in agreement with me and with the Heritage Party. The only one thing that I would disagree with him on is that he voted for the what's called the assisted dying bill, not because, you know, out of principle, but just he said, oh, I'm going to open it up to my constituents and do a poll of my constituents, and whatever the majority is, I'm going to vote for them. And you know, so he did this poll of constituents in Great Yarmouth, and more people said they wanted euthanasia in his poll than didn't, so he voted for euthanasia to come in the second reading of the assisted dying bill, which is the full name of that is the terminally ill patients end of life care bill or something. Not that it's anything to do with caring for patients, it's to do with killing patients. So, you know, I've said, you know, Rupert's welcome to join the Heritage Party, as is Ben Habib. You know, I put out a tweet there, Ben and Rupert are welcome to join the Heritage Party, because people are mentioning Rupert Lowe in the same sentence as Ben Habib. Obviously, Ben, I know, I like Ben, we got on very well. You know, I'm not going to talk about the actual things we've spoken about, but I've spoken to Ben, you know, a number of times over the last few years. Rupert Lowe I don't know at all personally. To me, he was a Brexit Party MEP, just in the background, but he sort of came out of nowhere to become an MP, and then has really proven himself to be a very hard-working MP. So, you know, I don't know him, but he would be welcome in the Heritage Party as long as he took on the manifesto and voted against euthanasia in the third reading of the assisted dying bill. And the other thing that I think we have differences of opinion on may be to do with the Middle East, but I try not to let the Middle East affect what we do and how we act in politics in the UK. I mean, I studiously avoided talking about the Middle East until the events on the 7th of October 2023. My position there is I've called for a ceasefire after hostilities escalated there from the very beginning. I was the first person in politics in the UK to call for a ceasefire almost immediately after Israel started counter-attacking and cutting off water and electricity and carpet bombing areas of Gaza. You know, you're not going to do anything by saying, oh, these people killed hundreds of people, so we're going to kill tens of thousands of people. I mean, you really need to try to stop that from happening. So, you know, I think in the whole Middle East situation, Rupert Lowe has made different statements to me. You know, that's something, if I did ever talk to him, we'd have a conversation about. But look, 95% of things we'd agree on, and he's really good on the, you know, domestic politics and what needs to happen in this country, and in attacking the uni-party, Labour, Lib Dem, Green, fake Conservative uni-party. But it looks today with this split that actually Reform very much joins the uni-party, because now they're acting in a manner which is woke and culturally Marxist, and they're joining in. They have been joining in all the time for calling for more escalation, more war in Ukraine. They were for the experimental injections back in the day in 2021, 2022, which was the wrong thing to do. And, you know, at the very beginning, they were for lockdowns. I was against them. So everything in the last 4 years, Reform have been on the wrong side of things which have happened, which needs a response and needs people to speak out to protect people when it matters, not 2 or 3 years after the fact, you know, and I've said that many times. So it's very, very interesting. It looks like the game's up for Reform. It looks like they're collapsing, they're imploding, and they're not going to last much longer. But no worries, the Heritage Party is here. I set it up in 2020. We have all the principles and policies that we need to restore our nation. Indeed, I think our manifesto is so good that Reform never had a manifesto until the general election campaign in 2024, and they basically stole our manifesto and said it was theirs, or, you know, the bits that they wanted. And then they've got rid of that manifesto, and they don't have a manifesto again, but we do. And every year we are attempting to stand more candidates in local elections, in Westminster elections, and where we are marching on. And we've got local elections coming up in 23 areas on the 1st of May 2025. We're still looking for candidates in those areas. We're fighting and have been fighting for the election cancellations, which are atrociously happening in 9 areas, to be stopped, and, you know, for those elections to go ahead. I don't think that's going to happen, but they were going to postpone or cancel them in 18 areas. We have been pushing back, and specifically in Devon and Kent, Heritage Party activism has contributed to those elections going ahead. I can say that, and, you know, if you look at our website and look at the things that we've been doing, that our General Secretary Madeleine's been doing, you can see the way that we've been campaigning and the success we've had in getting some of these elections to go ahead this year. So we're going to stand as many candidates as we can in local elections. We need more, because there are 1,500 seats approximately up for election in May. And we will be standing, of course, in the Senedd in Wales next year, the Holyrood in Scotland next year, and we are always and continuously interviewing people and getting people ready for the next Westminster election, whenever it may happen, 2029 or earlier. I hope it happens earlier, because I really don't want another 4 years of this dreadful Starmer regime. But there we go. So Reform are collapsing, but the Heritage Party is here to pick up the slack. Please have a look at our manifesto, our website, if you haven't looked at it already, heritageparty.org. Come and join us. Come and stand for us as a candidate if you're able. and please do vote for us wherever we have candidates. Thank you, everyone, and God bless you all.